Action now from LA Unified School Board Vice President Nick Melvoin. Nick, your reaction to that and how it specifically hurts a school district, because doesn't a lot of the funding come from attendance?
It does. And, I so understand the frustration of parents and of those students. It's been almost a year. I've been on your show, I think, weekly now to say we need to reopen schools. I've been pushing for small group instruction. And now, as of the county's announcement Monday night, have been saying that we should begin reopening elementary schools. That being said, I think the frustration here, my frustration for the year, is that it's been kids who have been getting shortchanged. And I think having them out of school, even though it's Zoom school, is not the answer. And so I hope that parents will find other ways to channel their advocacy, email the school board, email the teachers union, email the county board of supervisors, so that we can get those vaccinations out to our teachers and get schools open.
But some of the parents say that they've been doing all of that and it hasn't made a difference, and that this, maybe if it hurts you in your pocketbook, maybe that'll make a difference.
Yeah, I would say that the parents have been making a difference. We saw the legislature put out a new plan that's a step in the right direction today. The governor just responded and somewhat ironically maybe said the legislature's plan, which was supposed to improve on the governor's plan, did not go far enough. I think we're all trying to find the way to get, or I should say, I'm working hard to try to get schools reopened, and I think pulling kids out on Monday is not the answer. We're also, I should just say, technically, we're kind of at a hold harmless this year with the legislature when it comes to funding. So this won't hurt the bottom line for the district. I think it will only hurt the kids who are out of school, such as it is. And there are other ways to channel our advocacy, as I think we need to.
Yeah.
Hey, Nick, if all the teachers and the staff were magically vaccinated, would they go back to school right then? Would they allow the schools to open?
If they didn't, I think we'd have even more frustration with parents. They have not told us explicitly, Dr. Drew, that they will. And that I know is frustrating to parents, because whether it's Chicago or San Francisco, there's at least an agreement, and we've been trying to get that on paper. I would find it very hard to believe that teachers wouldn't come back once they're vaccinated, but they have not given us that assurance, and it's something that I've been pushing the superintendent to try to get. So we at least have an end date or a goal that we can all be working towards collectively.
And that is a difference.
Why did they keep...
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Alex. I was going to say, why do they keep focusing on the old tier system when the CDC has set a new system forward of 25 per 100,000 rather than the 7 per 100,000, which we will never achieve, as I've said many times, that the state had set long ago? Why do they keep pointing at the purple tier?
You'd have to ask them. There have been a lot of conflicting guidance and regulations, but I think at this point we have alignment between the CDC, Dr. Fauci, President Biden, Vice President Harris, state and county departments of public health, who are saying in LA County we've reached the threshold for reopening. Why we're now moving the goalposts, or I shouldn't say we, others are moving the goalposts and coming up with new criteria. I stood with the teachers union in March when we closed schools, and we said we're going to be relying on science and public health data. And now when there's concurrence around, amongst those scientists and public health experts, that we can reopen, to again, be moving the goalposts and adding new criteria. And even if what will make everyone most comfortable is vaccinating our teachers and staff, at least say that and say that will be the threshold, so that we can give parents some light at the end of this tunnel.
And we have invited UTLA to join us here. So far, they have declined that request, but we hope that they will come back on with us soon. Meanwhile, I want to talk about what you brought up, Nick, which is this proposal from the legislature. You referenced this school reopening plan that Governor Newsom put forth a little while ago, which was a $2 billion plan that a lot of folks, including your superintendent, Austin Buettner, said was not enough. Well, now the head of the Assembly, the head of the Senate in Sacramento put out their plan. Let's put this up on the screen. This plan is called the Safe and Open Schools Plan. In order to get money, school districts must offer in-person classes by April 15th to the so-called most vulnerable students, like special ed kids with special income needs. The plan requires schools to receive the money to reopen for all students in grades K through 6 when cases rates in their counties drop below 7 per 100,000. That would be that red tier that Dr. Drew says LA County is likely not getting to. The proposal requires all schools to adopt a COVID-19 safety plan by April 1st that has been approved by labor unions. Your reaction to this plan?
So I think, the devil may be in the details. I think the challenge with the plan is that a lot of those things we're actually already allowed to do. We can bring small groups of students with disabilities and homeless youth back. We can, as of Monday, bring TK to 6. We do have a safety plan that has been approved by the county. What we don't have is the labor sign-off. And I think the key there, maybe the incentive funding will be enough to tell our partners, we can't get this money if we don't reopen. But I think the crux of this that wasn't up on the screen, but it's going to be up prioritizing teachers for vaccinations. And what the plan, as announced by the legislature, will do is tell counties they have to set aside doses for teachers and school staff. And as we're hearing from our union partners, that's what is going to make them feel comfortable to return. Then we need to prioritize. When I asked Dr. Ferrer on Tuesday what's holding LA County back, she cited supply. I don't know that the governor's plan is going to magically fix the supply problem, but if we can ensure that we can start vaccinating teachers as soon as possible, that will expedite the return to school. And so that, I think, is where things stand right now.
It seems like we're always going to have a supply problem. We have to prioritize teachers independent of supply. To say there's a supply problem is not an answer to your question. Why can't we prioritize teachers is the question.
I agree, Dr. Drew, and I asked Dr. Ferrer that on Tuesday. I pointed out that Long Beach next door has already vaccinated all their teachers TK to 2, and her response was, again, supply, and she didn't want to make the slices of the pie any smaller. I mean, I think California still ranks near the bottom of states in getting this vaccine out, and if we're really going to make schools a priority, and they have not been since March, as we've reopened everything else, then I think we need to say that teachers, not March, not some amorphous date in March, but tomorrow can get vaccinated. We also need to prioritize elementary school teachers. The challenge is if we just open up the lottery for all teachers, maybe we have high school teachers vaccinated, but we're not eligible to reopen high school. So we need to be more targeted and urgent.
And to use that Long Beach example where they have their own health department, because they were able to offer that vaccine to teachers, they announced that they will be reopening soon because of that for in-person learning. All right, Nick Melvoin from LAUSD School Board, thank you so much for keeping us up to date. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Nick.
Of course, I'm sure I'll be back soon.
Yes, excellent. There's a lot to talk about.